Good evening, everybody. This is D.W. Daniel White. And you know what? We're calling you live right here by Denver, Colorado. To be extremely specific on it, it's Littleton, Colorado, right in front of the Front Range and the foothills of the mountains. It's a doctor's clinic time, where the world is your waiting room. And we got Dr. Kurt Fisnick with us tonight, and he's Fargo. And, Doc, you want to say hi to everybody real quick?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the call. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to join us tonight.
And we got a subject that we're going to bump into, and Doc and I is going to interrupt each other probably quite a bit. We're talking about the subject, and I think a lot of people got the email. And it's about cancer. It used to be, there was a day in America that, 1 out of 50 people would get the dreaded news. The doctors would tell them, "I'm sorry, you got cancer." Now we're down to 1 in 4, get that kind of news. And the rapid rate of cancer, and then we've got, and I'm going to beat up on an agency just simply because I don't have a doctor's title, but you got the, Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, that some of the stuff they allow to come onto our shelves that has some of the most toxic ingredients in it and cancer-causing ingredients in it absolutely blows my ever-living mind right off my shoulders. And it blows me away. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they're being paid off. I don't know if they're just, but you got to understand when it comes to that agency, they're, they back in 1978 they said that they would take over the next 2 or 3 years. They grandfathered every ingredient in, and they said it would take them about 4 or 5 years to get that where they would basically comb over every product and have companies take stuff out of their products, and they didn't do it. By 78, and then by 1986, nothing happened. They said, it'll be done in another no more than 10 years. 96 came and happened. Now we're 2016, and they've still not done it at all. Dr. Kurt, is that your experience of what I'm talking about, or am I on the wrong tangent right now?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, DW, being a doctor, seeing it from that side, it's crazy. And being a layperson, seeing it from this side with family members, I'll tell you what, once you or a loved one gets stricken with cancer, I mean, it's you just look at this thing in a different light. You're going, holy cow, it's not good. And DW, like you said, I mean, you look at the FDA, well, even their own director of the FDA, Dr. von Eschenbach, he was a former director of the National Cancer Institute, and then he was FDA commissioner from 2005 to 2009. He wrote an editorial in the Wall Street Journal, and he basically was really critical of him. And he said that we stand on the cusp of a revolution in healthcare. Advances in molecular medicine will allow us to develop powerful new treatments that can cure or even prevent diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer. But he went on to say that all the advances in every other aspect of our life progresses so rapidly. Why is it that we're overburdened with bureaucracy in the FDA, and it prevents us from moving forward with I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, I'm curious, DW, and for everybody that's on the call, I mean, just think to yourself, do you think there's a cure out there? I mean, DW, do you really think that there's a cure somewhere?
I absolutely do. I totally do. And, it's kind of interesting how crazy some people have gone to try to find a cure. But they have, and Doc Weedham talked about this. Everybody on the call, he may spring something on me, I may spring something on him tonight. But they were talking about how they took they took an AIDS virus and they took the bubonic plague and took those two viruses and put them together, took out the harmful part of it that would absolutely kill you to go in to fight some cancer cells, and they would go in and bust up and kill the cancer cells then the person would get the plague and get the virus, and they give it a note, and it takes that virus out of it because it had no teeth to it. It was just, I don't know, Doc, if you heard anything about that today, but that is some of the latest research, and people getting excited about taking this shot. I mean, yes, I do think there's cures, and but I think there's more money in sickness than there is in health, and that's my honest opinion and answer. Question. So there you go, back at you, partner. What do you think, Doc?
I really agree with that. Is that I think that there's a lot of people within the system who are making a lot of money off of us being sick, and they really don't give a rat's behind what happens to us. As long as they're making money. And DW, I think a lot of people, they blame the doctors, and they say, oh, the doctors. Well, my son's in second-year medical school, and I'll tell you what. I mean, here's a kid that I put him right up there in the top 5 smartest people I know in the world, and he and I talk about this a lot. And it's not the doctors. The doctors go in there with the right reason. I mean, they're even told, like my son told me, he said throughout the first year and the second year of medical school, they told those kids, they said, if you're here to make a lot of money, you should probably go into something else. Because like my son, I mean, he's 25. He'll turn 25 in December. He won't graduate and actually be a full-fledged doctor until he's 35 years old. He's got another 10 years of school, DW.
That is crazy.
Yeah, you think about it.
And here's the thing: when a lot of docs come out of school, I remember talking to a doc that moved from traditional family medicine and internal medicine, and he moved into more homeopathic or just more natural, and got away from toxins and that kind of thing. He said when he made the switch, he did it years ago. When he made the switch, a lot of other doctors were like throwing tomatoes at him and the whole 9 yards. Now we're in a state to where a lot of them are paying attention to that. They're a little bit more cognitive of it. They're more aware of it. And another thing that he said was the simple fact that when he made that switch, he just sat down and told me, he goes, we become glorified dope pushers. He said the incentives we would get at this time, at that date and age, to push the next latest and greatest drug that had side effects that you could write a list of them longer than your arm, and then back up the other arm, and then down your back. I mean, he said it is crazy, and and so there's way better ways of doing things. And you talk about cancer. I mean, I wanted to say this to you, Doc. You can take this where you want. But my grandmother died of cancer in her late 70s, early 80s, and it was stomach cancer. And it was her and Mom and Mom doesn't do this anymore, but back when I was a kid, they would drink 6 pots of Folgers and coffee per day between them. That's a lot of coffee. And
is there something wrong with that?
Well, knock you out, Doc. With those parabens and cancer-causing agents, now
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know you're having fun. Sisel coffee is a different thing. I mean, no wonder she died of stomach cancer. You see what I'm saying? They said that coffee just ate her alive. I mean, there was a tipping point to where at some point when you do enough of the wrong thing, it tips, then there's a cascade and a domino effect in the cellular zone where cells just collapse like dominoes, like done. Back at you, Doc.
Done. That's exactly it. I mean, the body can. I was having coffee with a young gal this morning, and we were talking. She suffers from some chronic things, and just talking about different things like with the coffee, and I said, the body can only do so much, and all of a sudden, like you just said, it just starts collapsing. But we're just a bag of chemicals. I mean, really, you look at us, we're just a bag of chemicals, and all the chemicals are arranged in a certain pattern, and have you ever thought about? I mean, I'm sure you have, DW. You've talked about it. You and I have talked about it. What exactly is a free radical? These free radicals that people think, hear about, they don't really understand it. And so one of the things I thought I'd share tonight, for those of you who don't know, for those that do know, just bear with me. But I mean, a free radical, what is it? I mean, a toxin, what is it? So so like let's take lead for example, and you put lead in the body. Lead is missing an electron, and so when it gets in your body, however it gets your water, your air, your food, lipstick, whatever, it steals the electron from one of your cells. And that cell turns into a free radical, and that free radical goes around stealing electrons from other cells, creating other free radicals. And what that does, it messes up the chemical makeup of your body. And eventually what it can do is it can trigger these cells to go into the very rapid cell division. And that's really when cancer starts to form. I mean, and I was just reading some science about 2 weeks ago, and they were saying every single one of us, probably our immune system probably fights off 7 different kinds of cancer every single day. Every single day. So think about it. If your immune system isn't working right, or if you have something in your body, a toxin that your immune system doesn't recognize, something's going to go wrong, right? I mean, don't you think, DW, something's going to go wrong? And we're making, how many new chemicals every year are formulated in the world?
Oh my goodness! I mean, there's thousands and thousands.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 5,000 new chemicals every single year.
You cannot break down your immune system and expect to win the battle with the amount of rapid opportunities your body has to grab a hold of cancer that's running through it.
That's exactly it. I mean, and so you got to stay on top of it. You got to stay on top of it. And DW was talking about how 100 years ago how cancer was so much less. And you'll hear some doctors. I was talking to an oncologist here about 6 weeks ago, and he said we're winning the war on cancer, but we're not quite there yet. And I looked at him and I said, really? I said, do you really think we're winning the war? I said, and I kind of gave him a look. I mean, I said, I'm curious, how do you come up with that? I said, the Centers for Disease Control back in 2012, if I remember right, they said by the year 2020, which is just 4 years away from now, in the year 2020, cancer will be 50% worse than what it was in 2012. How can you say we're winning the war if cancer is getting worse? I mean, to me, if I'm winning a war, the numbers are going down; they're not going up. And he said, well, certain kinds of cancer. I said, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, certain kinds of cancer, like childhood cancers and leukemia, yeah, we're winning the war on those. But really, most other kinds of cancer, we're not even keeping up with it. Back in 72, when President Nixon formed the President's Council on Cancer, I mean, he said by the end of the decade, by the end of the 70s, by 1980, when I graduated from high school, he said by 1980 we'll have the cure for cancer. I mean, think about that. Since 1980, it's gotten horrendously worse.
That's 36 years ago, Doc. 36 years ago.
Yeah, right? I mean, think about that.
36, yeah.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. I was talking to a scientist from the National Institutes of Health, and he and I were talking about, what's his theory? What's his theory on why it's getting worse? And he just gave me one word: toxicity.
There you go.
Toxicity. That's what he said. And so when we look at it, really, if you're going to do something in your life, if you're going to really look for the cure, and I'll say this and I'll say it over and over and over again, you'll hear me say it: the only cure for cancer is don't get it. Right?
All right.
After that, it's treatment and maintenance. It's treatment and maintenance. I was just talking to my brother the other day, and his doctor told me, once we get this under control, once we get it under control, then you're going to be watching for it all the time because it's going to pop up. They told him, they said, it's going to come back. Once we get it under control, it's going to come back.
Wow. Not a lot of hope, is there, Doc, when they say stuff like that?
Oh man, I sat down with my brother and I said, you're dang right. That's why you and I, when they get done with you, when they get done with their medical treatment, that's why we're going to get really, really, really aggressive as heck on every aspect of it, and that's why I really love where we're sitting in, and you'll hear me say that I think that Sisel, the company we work with, the company that we love and we represent, is sitting at the helm of this whole revolution against aging and death, and I hope everybody grasps that. We are in a revolution. Is there anybody on the call that wants to die younger? Right? No way. You want to live to be a healthy, ripe old age, and you want to be healthy. And so some of the things that are coming up. I was talking on Facebook today. There's a lab test, and I was talking to Tom about it, and mentioning that I want to offer it to everybody. I'm not going to make a dime. I'm just offering it to everybody. Here's a lab test that I really truly think represents prevention in all aspects. You can detect cancer in stage 0, and what that means is that, remember I said your body fights off 7 forms of cancer every single day. Well, what if one of them gets by and your immune system can't keep up, and all of a sudden you start to get all those little cancer cells congregating in an area? Well, that's cancer. So here's a lab test that will detect that at the very earliest stages. Traditional lab testing, they miss 85% of cancer in stage 1. They miss 50% in stage 2. Here's a test that's 99.9999% accurate in stage 0.
Wow.
Right? Wow. That's to me. If you want to have the cure for cancer is prevention. Don't get it. And if you want to know if you got it, you take this test. What if you do have cancer? What if you catch it in stage 0? Well, guess what? The studies show that if you catch cancer in stage 0, 100% of it, we can't use the word cure, but 100% of it is totally treatable. 100%.
There you go.
Right? And DW, I know that you and I believe in the same thing with looking for the cure, and we can't say we have the cure, but if you're going to do some preventative type stuff, which is the cure, and you want to just say, hey, I want to make my body as strong as I possibly can, and really, for those of you that are listening to the call, you want to have optimum function of every system in your body, right? If you have optimum function of every system in your body, it's got to be like it's going to be like having these little detection centers all across your body going, oh, there's a problem over here. Let's fix it. It's going to zap it, and boom, it's done. And that's where Sisel really comes into play. And DW, I'm just going to kind of bring up some stuff. This morning I was talking to that young gal, and she said that she's got heavy metal toxicity. And being a female, where are some of the places they get exposed to heavy metals, DW?
Well, you can get exposed to heavy metals, in all kinds of places, and even heavy metals come in through forms of like radiation, and and there's radiation in the airways everywhere. That's just absolutely crazy. But all the way from aerosol cans to aluminum is a heavy metal that's in almost every deodorant that's out there. Just something that simple. The amount of heavy metals that they use in some of the cleaning supplies that are there. And so those are the things that come right off the top of my head, brother.
Yeah, and the lead in the lipstick, right? What is it like?
Lead in lipstick. What does Tom say? He goes, lead's not for lipstick, lead's for bullets.
There you go.
And we love that, don't we?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 6 pounds. Isn't that what the studies say? 6 pounds of lead in their lifetime?
Yeah.
That's what a female takes in from their lipstick?
Yes, and that's just in one area. I mean, what's happening with the seepage with the mascara and the eyeliner is unreal. In that particular toxins that are in those products, it goes right to the liver, and you start getting big wrinkles on the liver. There's one thing that you can't get ironed out. Once you get a wrinkled liver, it's wrinkled. You don't get a do-over on that deal. They don't have like, hey, let me give you an iron wrinkle, and we'll go and iron things out. No, it's too late because that wrinkle's down in there deep. And so, what you're talking about, I mean, there's systems here. You got your digestive tract that's got to work right in order to keep toxins in heavy metals. You've got your brain function to get the plaque, a form of a heavy metal, off the brain. You have what inside the arteries and the plaque there, and to get it out, and to give yourself to build the immune system. I mean, right now, this moment, everyone needs to be taking. I'm seriously. Double doses of Influence and Body Shield and hitting the super detox immediately, even before the storm hits that could be coming around. So I get kind of hypersensitive about this particular topic because there's a lot of prevention we can do, and that becomes part of the cure. And and so you can buy a lot of people's insurance deductible and stuff like that is $5,000, or if you have a cancer run, you're talking about $150,000. You can buy a lot of Body Shield, Influence, and Flacoid for $150,000. So, Doc, I'm excited about what we got. Hey, buddy, you asked me one question. I'm back at you, partner.
Hey, let me ask you this question then. I'm curious. In 1912, a cookie was invented. And now they're saying it causes fatty liver and cancer. Guess what cookie that is?
1912. Oh, man, back then they did the little, they did all kinds of those little cookies. They did the little lemon cookies. They did the little, you better tell me I stumped the bands over it. Time up. What is it?
It's the Oreo cookie.
Are you kidding me?
The most popular cookie in America. They just came out and they're saying now that it causes fatty liver and cancer.
Love that cookie. Once they took it, once Nabisco headed to Mexico, we quit buying them. So, but that was financial more than it was physical. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. I mean, America's favorite cookie. I mean, but they're saying everything causes cancer. Down in California, Proposition 65. If you drink coffee, right, because the way they make coffee, they burn the coffee bean. It causes the acrylamides, and that causes cancer. If you overcook your steak, it causes cancer. If you drink the water, it causes cancer. If you drink the Kool-Aid, it causes cancer. I mean, every single thing we do causes cancer. So years ago, I remember going to a seminar. I don't know, I was maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I was longer than that. And they said that you can't live in a bubble because the bubble's probably made of plastic, and then you'll breathe in BPA that causes cancer. But you really can't live in a bubble. So guess what, DW? What do we got to do?
Well, we're going to take care. We can't live in the bubble. We're going to take care of things from the inside out and from the outside in. In other words,
that's right.
We're going to create a bubble and literally a protective coat around our cells, all the way from amino acids and B12s that we have in our products to building the cell up with nutrients that it needs. I mean, our body's so depleted. You go back to 1912, there was a day in America, Doc, that topsoil was 3 foot. Now we're down to 8 inches. We're not getting the nutrients in the soil. It's not coming up through the food. When we talk about our Spectrum Act, 74 essential minerals, trace minerals and essential meaning non-negotiable, you got to have them. That is huge because you're not getting it in the food. What we eat looks the same, tastes the same. It's not the same as our great-grandparents had and our grandparents had. Wheat used to have 40% protein. Now it doesn't. It's less than 7% protein. And so it goes on, but that's right, Doc.
Yeah, and then the Spectramax. I mean, you mentioned it. I was sitting with Tom last July, and I was talking to Tom Maurer about, if he had $50 in his pocket and that was all he had, what product would he buy? Right? I wanted to know. Inquiring minds, they want to know what product would he buy of the 300 different products that we have. What would he buy? Spectramax.
Yep.
Spectramax, and because he said there's 74 trace minerals in there, and I've heard DW say this before, that you get one free radical, you neutralize it, that forms another free radical, you neutralize that one, and this goes on and on and on. What is it, like 12 or 15 different times before it's finally weak enough that it won't cause a problem? Isn't that, am I right on that, DW?
Yeah, you're right. You just took that hammer and you crushed the nail. You hit it right on the head.
Yeah, and so we've got 74 trace minerals, and they're needed in your body because every second while you're sitting here listening to DW and I babble on, over 2,500 different biological processes are taking place in your body right now, this second, and they need trace minerals. And according to the latest science that just came out in the last 4 weeks, they're saying that 99% of us are missing key essential trace minerals. 99%. So who's going to gamble that they're part of the 1%? I mean, even myself, where I know what I'm supposed to be taking, I don't consider myself to be in that 1%. I'm in the 99% somewhere. I'm missing something.
Well, and you can get on it with, you can get it on it pretty good by double dosing your Spectramax. And actually, when it comes to taking Spectramax, if you really want to feed the cells the nutrition and the trace minerals that it needs, because it also has 40 major antioxidants in it. And one thing that will help you is that you can take a dose of that, put it into a 8-ounce glass of water, and drink it through the morning. And they do the same thing in the afternoon. And that will it'll begin to saturate your cells, and especially if you do it with hydrogen water, man. You're talking about accelerating everything. And that's another deal. I mean, are you kidding me? He talked about where you get lead, where you get heavy metals in the water. The junk they put in the water days is absolutely, if you really seen it and you really knew it, you would puke in your socks and wear them for a week. And I know that's gross, but I'm telling you, you would. And so our diatomic hydrogen water system is phenomenal, and it is a game changer.
Well, and on top of that, the hydrogen, it neutralizes all the free radicals. The most damaging of all the free radicals that causes cancer is this hydroxyl group free radical, which basically means, if you remember your chemistry that you hated in high school and college, it's got a little OH molecule attached to it. So you take a hydrogen molecule, you attach it to an OH, and guess what you get? You get HOH, which is, another chemical formula for H2O. So you basically convert a toxin into water.
Well, I think Doc's right hit the nail on the head, and we're running out of time. But Doc, what if we picked up next Tuesday, and we just took some time, and maybe even got Marianne or somebody down here as well with us, but we go through some products that will really help people. I mean, I am a firm believer in our Balance D, getting the digestive tract cleaned out, and if you was to do an autopsy on just an average person, you would see food in their gut that they had 12 days ago. Big chunks of meat sitting in there, big chunks of greens and stuff not digested properly. And having your system digest properly is the difference between feeling good. A lot of people think they're fat, and they're really not fat, they're bloated. Big difference.
Yeah.
And they walk around in a bloated state. Doc, that's another whole call about bloatedness. I mean, seriously, just bloated. And how to look at someone's eyes and just to tell if they're even bloated, and some of those indicators that can give you a heads up. But what if we took some time next week and we went through some products that help people build their immune system, extract heavy metals out of their body, okay, and some of the products we have that will support different systems, because you want brain health, you want bone health, you want digestive tract health, you want heart health, and every one of those areas needs to be properly detoxed.
I love it. Let's continue on. DW, why don't, for everybody that's on the call, if we could get people to just maybe email us their questions.
Yeah,
email
that's
questions.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and like maybe somebody says, well, what would you do for this? What would you do for that? Email those types of questions to us in the next week. And then what DW and I will do, I mean, we'll kind of have like a maybe a talk show type of a thing. We'll answer the viewers' question.
Yep, and we'll get as many as we can do in 30 minutes, and then we can pick up and do that a couple shows like that. So
excellent.
Hopefully everyone understands the chances, because of the toxicity. Just that word alone of you coming up against and having to battle off some cancers in your body that they didn't have to battle off, 500 years ago, 200 years ago, 300. They had other issues they were battling, but because everything is so toxic, everything has so many just absolutely hazardous chemicals and in them. And so we want to help you put yourself in a position to where you can battle those off in bad grammar, but quicker, faster, and better, okay? And give yourself a chance to come up against some of these things. And we can do it through nutrition, where the side effects, let me tell you what the side effects are. When you use Sisel products, here's the side effects. You're going to get healthier. The side effects, you're going to feel better. Ha! How's that for a side effect, Doc?
I love it. Hey, did you know that it's National Cancer Survivor Day?
Yeah, and I got a few more hours, but I think I'm going to make it.
National Cancer Survivor Day. So call those people that are survivors and just wish them well and because the power of thought, when we all think together, when we all think the same thing, it's amazing what that energy does, and you can make some crazy, crazy things happen in the world. And that's where we need to be. Is everybody needs to start thinking on the same thing. Quit thinking about politics. Start thinking about positive things. Let's make some changes.
We need to detox some politics out, don't we, brother? But that's it. And what Doc's talking about is you can make a difference in someone's life. Someone that's battling cancer and they've got those dreaded news, then you pop them on here. And it is, it is Cancer Day and Survivor Day, and we celebrate all those that have survived. We've got a lot within our system that have gotten a lot of help because of our products, and gives them a fighting chance. We love you, everybody. That's it for the Doctor's Clinic tonight. Dr. Kurt Fizz, you're awesome, brother. And we've got Rob Cohan in the background that does so much to make things happen. And so, Sir Rob, we appreciate you. That's it tonight. It's a wrap. We thank you so much for being part of this call.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone.